Hey guys, and thank you for joining me for this video. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be planning our budget for December. And so if you joined me last month, you know that we started picking up budgeting again last month. Of course, as I knew it was going to happen, it was our first month back in the budget. So everything wasn't completely included in it. So we didn't get to stick to it as much as I would have liked, but we weren't completely far off. And so even though we didn't follow our plan completely, I still don't feel like it was a complete loss because, we were still more conscious and more aware of our budget, and we were able to take notes and consider things for this month. So this month we're going to go back in it again, and we're optimistic, which might be a crazy notion considering that it is the holidays, and usually the holidays is when you tend to spend a little bit more, but we think we'll be okay. We think we have a good plan and we're both comfortable with it. So we're going to go ahead and try it again this month. As I mentioned last month, I didn't want to buy another planner because it seemed counterproductive to start budgeting, but then go out and buy another planner. Even though with all the sales that have been going on for Black Friday and during the holidays, and then with my 20% off coupons, I probably wouldn't have paid very much for a monthly one. So I'm still debating on that. But as far as for flexibility, since we don't have like a set way to budget yet, I'm using the Erin Condren notebook because it's just easier and I can just kind of modify it more the way that I want. So we can go in. I already kind of did the major groundwork. And so here you can see I made my own December spread. So like I mentioned, this is an Erin Condren notebook. This is the graph notebook. And so I went ahead and measured out and made my boxes and made my whole monthly view. And then I just added stickers to make it more, fun to look at. What I did in November that I really enjoyed, and I'm going to do it again this month, is as I wrote down my different things, like bills that are due within the month, I did that using my dot pens. And so I was able just to put the dot for each item based on whatever category. So I used one of each of these for a different category and then write it down in here. And what I really enjoyed about the fact of doing it in the graph notebook is that I can use a whole line for an item and it fits perfectly in there and it just looks cleaner. It's easy to look at and the colors just make it easy to know what's due when. So I'm gonna do that again this month. And so I'll go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to make my key on the side, basically of what each color stands for. And so I'll start with the brown, and this is gonna be, I think I've been calling it monthly, or I think I'm just gonna leave it as monthly. And monthly is a horrible description for it, but well, maybe I'll just put this month. So what this is going to be is this is going to be anything that is not due every month. It's only due specific months. So in this case and for this month, this is going to be used for our insurance because we don't pay for our insurance monthly. I think we broke it out to, one of them was like 2 for the year because that's like a year plan. And then I think this one was like 3 for the 6 months. So this is the last payment for that. But it comes out this month and we haven't had to pay it for the past couple months, but it'll be due this month. So that'll be with the brown. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use I'm gonna do the pink. And then with the pink, I'm going to mark our variable expenses. So this will be anything that is a monthly bill, will be due, but the amounts vary. So I'll mark that down with the pink. And then with my gray, I'm going to use it so that I can mark our fixed expenses. So anything that's due every month that we know the amounts to, the amounts never change, that'll be fixed. And then the last blue one, I'm going to put it on there. That one's a little different with the size. Well, that gray one, there's something wrong with the tip. It's really like seeping out ink. So that one came out really big, but the blue one anyways is going to be for, debt payments. So anything that I have lumped in as a debt, that'll be marked with blue. So I'll go ahead and I'll start marking down in here. Like I mentioned, I'll do the dot for whatever type of expense it is, and then I'll write it down. And so for the first, I have 1 pink, 2 grays. And so those payments are going to be for our mortgage. This is very hard to write with the spine, or the spiral, not spine. See, that came out horrible. Let me fold this. Okay, that'll be better. A little bit. So there's the mortgage, and then we have our gym membership. So we go to Lifetime. So that's Lifetime Fitness. And then the last thing is our pool service. So I went ahead and write those in there. So remember, gray is fixed, pink is variable. The reason that we have our pool service as pink is because we consider it variable because the amounts will change. Where am I going on? The 4th. The amount will change eventually. Right now we're paying $80 a month for him to come and service our full pool. And I've said it before, and I'll say it every time. He does an amazing job at keeping our chemicals balanced so that our pool stays nice and crystal clear, and it doesn't, it doesn't turn green or it's just nasty. Because when we were trying to maintain it ourselves, it just wasn't working. And so we hired him instead, and he had already mentioned to us that the prices will be going up in a couple of months. So we have it variable right now because we know it's going to change, but it hasn't changed yet. And so it's been the same. $80 is what we pay, but it will change. But for now, we have it as pink, since we know that it will change, because obviously that's something that will change because, he does it himself. He has to pay for chemicals and all that. So the price will fluctuate, but no matter what, it's still reasonable, and it's still better than what we were spending trying to maintain it ourselves. And so I've kind of just been adding things in. So I went ahead and added, these are different subscriptions. Target, my Target red card, I'll have to pay that. And then here we have AT&T, which is our phone bill. And this is one of those bills that I have, and the amount is fixed, but I'm still, honestly, last time I was sitting down and doing bills, and I was looking at our cell phone payment, and it is just ridiculous. Like, AT&T really does charge a lot, but then it's hard because, we have pretty good service with it, as opposed to before I think we had T-Mobile, and it was just not good service. Like, my husband was still in the Army when we had it, and so whenever he would go out for trainings in the field, he would never have service, which is why we moved to AT&T. And obviously he's out of the Army now, so he doesn't go out to the field as much or anything. So he doesn't need service like in remote locations. But still, we really got used to the service, and we like it. But honestly, the bill is just getting ridiculous. It's like it changes and goes up all the time. I don't even know. I wanted to, I've had moments because, my parents have, what do they have? I think they have, Cricket or something. And they pay, $125 for, 4 lines or something like that. Which, to me, sounds really good compared to what I pay. But their service is just never as good. My little brother, he's always complaining about the fact that he doesn't have service a lot of places, and then we do. So he complains about that. So he complains about our service, and then we complain about their price, right? So it would be a trade-off, but for right now, we're sticking with AT&T, obviously. But if I ever got to a point where I could change something or was gonna change something, AT&T would be one of those that I probably would change for sure. And so here is my brown dot, and so that is for Geico. Like I mentioned, that's our car insurance, and it's due this month. And so it's a big chunk, but it's only due this month, and then I think we won't pay again until, I want to say it's maybe June, May or June. I don't know. It'll be a while too. I actually did that wrong anyways. Well, these are due on the 16th, but I marked them on the wrong place. But that's fine. Yeah, that's so frustrating. So these are due on the 16th, but I marked them on the 15th because apparently I don't know what I'm doing. The only thing that's not a problem is that, I mean, it's still in the same week and it's a day difference. So it's not ideal because I actually marked down the wrong date. But I mean, at least I know generally when it's due, right? So paying it a day early is not bad. I mean, it would have been worse if I put it behind a couple of days and then would be late making a payment because of that. But even though that's not even realistic either, because most of my bills are on auto pay. This is just so that I can track and know what's coming out when, and then that way we can just plan better for it and plan our other bills that don't have due dates around these due dates, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going ahead and write. Electricity is another one that's variable, and our electricity has been changing a lot because we haven't been in our house that long. We've been in our house for maybe, what is it? Since the end of May, since June, end of May, early June. That's how long we've been in our house. And so we're still trying to get used to the difference in electricity based on the different seasons, because obviously, you know, it's different depending on what you're using. So for the summer, we turned on the air conditioner a lot because it was so hot. And so our electricity was really high. And so far the trend this month, I've been seeing that it's been lower, our electricity, but I don't know what our gas is gonna be, because now since it's getting cooler and we have a 10-month-old and we have kids, we try and make sure that it doesn't get too cold in the house. So because of that, we use the heater more. And then, sorry, got lost here. We use the heater more. So then obviously our gas bill will go up because we have the gas heater. So we're still trying to get a feel for that. So that's why we have it as variable. We've been budgeting, and so we've kind of been loosely budgeting for a while. So we've been budgeting based off the highest that we've ever paid for electricity. And then we have some wiggle room in case it's lower. Eventually, we want to get to the point where we do average billing. And so that's when we'll have the electric company go in and just take the average of what we spend all year. And then they give you a monthly bill based off that. So it's like, even though you use higher on some months, lower than the other ones, they take them all, combine them, do an average, add a percentage just for any variance that could occur, and then they end up charging you one base price monthly just so that it's easier to budget. We want to do that eventually, but since we have not been in our house for a year, we haven't done it yet, and we're just kind of waiting to get a feel for what we use based off the different seasons. So I think that's everything that I needed to mark on there. So like I mentioned, the bill that's due this month only, that's Geico. That's due about the middle of the month, well, exactly the middle of the month. It's due on the, 16th, not the 15th, but I mean, I'll just have it on there for a day earlier. Our variable expenses on there, and there's not that many variable expenses here because variable expenses for us are mainly things like gas and groceries and all that, but a few things like water, gas, electricity, and the pool, we have those as variable because we anticipate that they'll change or they'll fluctuate depending on the month. All our fixed expenses are on there, which are basically just subscriptions or car payments or like our daughter's cheer tuition and our mortgage and our gym membership, all that. Our phones, all that's fixed. That's a set amount. It doesn't really change, even though that's a lie because honestly, cell phones are constantly always changing. There's always one fee or another that they add on and take off, and I swear it's like never the same. But we basically have it as a fixed expense, and then I don't know. I might think about that one because yeah, phone bills are never accurate. And then anything in blue is a debt payment that we need to make, and I make sure to mark these and highlight them in a different color so I can see them. That's why it's kind of like one of the brighter colors on here, because, you know, those you can't miss payments on either. You want to make sure you pay them on time. So that's that. This is the main part of the budget that I've been using the most, and this is just for planning purposes, so I can kind of know what I have to pay when. The next part on here, and I did this last month too, and I really enjoyed it because it was just a really good way for me to look at my budget, is I created a bluff for the beginning. So this is a bottom line up front. So this just gives me a realistic picture of our budget and things I need to consider. And so this was really good last month, and then there was still things I hadn't considered, so it was good to note those and consider them. And then the bottom, I kind of just put a section so we can put some goals just for our personal tracking. And so for the bottom line up front, the things that I included on it last month and I'm going to keep it this month will be total income, and I'll write that in later. But I'll write down my total income in there so that we know how much we plan to get for the month, and that's kind of how we pay or we budget. And then our total debt, so we know the amount that we owe in debt. And then the intent with this is to write it down, and then as the months go by, I can see that number change and be going down, and hopefully it'll go down faster as opposed to slower. So that's going to be recorded there as well. I'm sorry for my handwriting. I have horrible handwriting, but bear with me. The next one is going to be, I'm gonna call it due this month. And this will be basically that item in brown in the front, which is a payment that is due this month only, and something that we don't normally pay. And so for the due this month, what I'm gonna put down there, and I'm debating whether I should use a dot pen for it, because I'm really obsessed with these dot pens. I just don't know if any of them will go. Maybe the gray one will go. I'm gonna do it right now. Why not? So I'm gonna go ahead and mark it. Should I do a space? Yeah, I'm gonna do a space because I have a space. So the dot pen, and that is going to be Geico. That's our car insurance, and the amount is for $857. And that's due on, what did I say it was due? It's due on the 16th. So I'm gonna put due the 16th. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that there. And then the last thing I track on the bottom line up front, which is basically my big summary of just the reality of our budget and where we are and things that are due budget-wise this month. The last thing I'm gonna put on here, and I did this last month and I really enjoyed it, even though there was still things I was missing, but I thought it was a good way to get a picture and a feel for things that I need to be considering. So I labeled it big ticket items. And this isn't basically going to be any big expense that is either occurring this month. And then I'm going to go the extra mile to also include big ticket items that'll be coming up, just so that I can be considering them and thinking about them. So the first thing I'm going to put on there is going to be Christmas, because obviously Christmas comes with big expenses, whether it be making dinner for family and buying gifts, traveling, whatever. I know we're not traveling this month, but we will be purchasing gifts and we will be having dinner with my family. So all that kind of stuff falls into Christmas. And then the next big ticket item is cheer competitions. So there is 2 cheer competitions this month. One is December 4th through 5th, and then I believe the next one is the next weekend. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put two comps. Because the reason I'm putting this as a big ticket item is because her tuition, or their tuition, but only my eldest daughter is competing this month. Their tuition is already paid and their fees are already paid. But when competitions happen, we have to pay for us to get in. And I think the one that's December 4th through 5th, I believe it's like $40 per person or $25 per person to get in. And then you still have to pay parking. And then it's a 2 days. So if we decide to stay out there, we would have to get a hotel, even though I don't think we're going to do that. But that's why cheer competitions is something to put on big ticket items and consider, because there's a whole bunch of fees and and spending that would be associated with that. Sorry about that. My son and my daughter, they're in the other room, and for some reason she just likes to bother him sometimes. She just likes to irritate him because she finds it funny, but obviously he doesn't really enjoy it. So I had to go in there and make sure she kind of left him alone, because if you leave him alone, he's happy. He doesn't bug, so they're fine now. Like I was mentioning, cheer competitions is a big ticket item. Another big ticket item that I'm going to put on there is debt repayment, because that's one of our big focuses. And that's the whole reason why we're trying to get strict with our budget, is so we can pay off debt repayment. Yeah. So I don't have, with these, I don't have direct amounts associated yet, but there are things I'll consider. And so Christmas, I'll put a budget together, and I think I kind of have in like rough drafts for budget. I think I budgeted something about like $500 for Christmas. And then cheer competitions, I think I was doing something like 200, about 100 each, but I'm gonna look at that, because sometimes, like I said, there's entrance fees, but then there's also like snacks, and then there's like, they sell like shirts and stuff like that. And I don't know how crazy my girls will try and get. So that's something to consider. So I'm gonna write it down there. And then debt repayment. And then the last thing I decided that I wanted to track in this section is going to be upcoming travel. And so this is travel that is not going to be immediately, and it's not this month, but I know it's going to be happening soon, and I really need to plan for it. And so these, I might already, I'm going to go ahead and just mark all 3 dots, so I'm not going back and forth. So there's 3 trips that I have to account for. So one is going to be Atlanta. Let me make sure it's that's for a cheer competition that we're taking my daughter to, and that's going to be in February. And for this trip, I already paid for the hotel. What I'll have to pay for is gas to drive down there, because we'll be driving, and then the same cheer competition fees that I talked about, you know, going in, snacks if they want to buy anything, and then I'd also have to incorporate food in there. So I have to consider that one. The next one that I'm going to put on there is Go Wild. I've never been, but I bought my tickets, what was it, the year 2020? No, 2019. Or was it 2020? I don't remember. Since the first time that they were going to do it in California, because I had never been and I was excited to go. No, yeah, so it was for 2020, and I think it got rescheduled like twice. And then so I had bought my tickets the first time to go, and then it got rescheduled, and then I had canceled my ticket because the date that it got rescheduled to was supposed to be, I believe it was supposed to be in June, because it was going to be for my mom's birthday, and so I wouldn't have been able to go. So then I had canceled my trip again, and then now this time it is going to be happening in March. So I purchased the tickets again, and I'm very excited because it is my first one, and then it's kind of been like the anticipation since I had bought my tickets the first time. So it's like that one is what I've been looking forward to, and I want to make sure that I budget correctly for that. And then the last thing is going to be Orlando, and this is our big trip, and this will be in May. And so this is for the big, so in cheer, and it took me a while to learn this, but the way cheer works is that all year you have local competitions, and in certain competitions, like the one happening on December 4th and 5th for my daughter, you have the like, depending on how you score and stuff, you can get a bid, and the bid is so you can go to the big competitions, and the big competitions are in Orlando, and that's going to take place in May. And so obviously the cheer season just started. We haven't gotten a bid yet, but in hopes that we do and that we will get to go, I want to start budgeting for that, because the way we did it, because we went this past year, or early 2020 for last season, we went ahead and we were there for the weekend as we did the competition. And then the week after, we stayed for a couple of days and we went to Universal, because me and my daughters are big Harry Potter fans. So we were able to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. This year, I think they want to go to Disney World, because they've been, but they don't really remember since they were younger. So I think we're going to do Disney World this year. So I want to make sure that I budget for that, because between the cheer competition and then Disney World, it's going to be, you know, big ticket type expenses. So that's the last thing I want to track there. And then the bottom is going to be for goals. And I didn't want to put anything too crazy on here, but just something that I want to focus on. So the first one is we want to focus on saving money and paying off debt. And so this one seems simple, like for a goal. But this is just basically like our whole purpose in trying to budget and everything is that we just want to have a bigger savings account. We have 4 kids, they're getting older. Later on, we'll have to be worrying about things like quinces or sweet 16s, whichever one they want. And then after that, college, and then, you know, cars and all that kind of stuff. So we want to start saving and paying off debt that we have. And then we have a home now. So there's a bunch of like remodeling and stuff we want to do. That also costs money. So we just want to build up savings. So our priorities are saving and paying off debt, which really it's paying off debt and saving because we want to pay everything off and then just be able to save. But that's there. And then so the last one that I want to put down, and I'll probably fast forward as I'm writing it because it's going to be a little bit longer, but I can sum it up. Basically for this one, what we wanted to do was make, I'll read it to you real fast and then I'll write it and I'll fast forward through that section probably. Or I don't know, how should I do this? I don't know if you guys want to see me do it. I guess I've wasted more time than if I just would have started writing it. We want to make this holiday season about the quality of time spent together. And not gifts or any material aspects of the season. So our main intent with this one is that, especially last year, we focused a lot on getting the girls like all these gifts and all these toys and all this stuff. And then, you know, spending so much on decorations and then, you know, all the fluff that comes with, you know, Christmas time. And honestly, like, it just seemed like much to me. And this season, we kind of just we don't want to focus on getting the kids a lot of gifts. I mean, they're in cheer all the time. I mean, if you watch my plans with me, you know that like all days work, they got school, and then all evenings cheer all the time. So they don't really even have time to play with all those toys and stuff. And so for this season, what we want to focus on is really just spending time with them. And whether that be like, if we go to see, I mean, it can include some kind of money, obviously, if we go to see a big light show or just drive around and look at Christmas lights or just sit at home watching Christmas movies or dancing around in the kitchen to Christmas music or something. We want to just focus on spending time with them more as opposed to buying them stuff, because I think we're just past the point that we're like, we don't want to just buy them stuff. We just want to spend time with them. And then we don't think they really need much anyways. And so like buying is just to buy. And so we see the boxes under the tree and it's not really because it's anything that they want. So, I mean, it's not like we're not going to get them any gifts. I think we've kind of settled that we're going to get them like clothes and shoes because they always go through that like crazy. Maybe one toy or one gift that they want. And then we want to also focus on getting them a book to read, especially because my second, she loves to read. So we want to start buying them a book. And so that's kind of what we want to do. But those are not like big ticket, buy them every toy in the Toys R Us catalog. I know Toys R Us isn't around anymore, but I just remember when I was younger, you know, looking through the Toys R Us ads and all the toys in there. We're not trying to get them all that. We just going to get them some basic stuff and then just really spend time with them. And then I included the material aspects of the season because, like, you know, everyone always wants the nicest, prettiest house for Christmas and they want beautiful lights. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just where we are in our budget and in our life. We just don't feel that we need to go the extra mile right now. I mean, maybe if we're in a different place and we feel more comfortable later on in the future, then we can spend more on that. But I mean, I know some places, and we've gotten some quotes like for people to put lights in the house, and it was like $1,500 and stuff for putting lights in the house, outside the house. And it's like, that's just money that we don't need to spend, and we can put that towards something else. I mean, $1,500, that could be our trip to Atlanta, and then I don't have to worry about that. I have the money there already, you know? So we just don't want to do that this season. And so that's our main goal. So the first one is just our focus on our budget. And this is just really what we want to focus on, especially since it's the holiday season. Thank you for joining me for December's budget plan with me. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Plan with Soto. This is part 1. Part 2 will be where I actually break down the first week of December for the way that I decided to budget for this month. So catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.